Tani, how are you first of all? How has this kind of past few weeks been for you?
That's been kind of surreal. I think everything's happened quite quickly. So while trying to soak in the moment, I think it's you got to have the balance of soaking in the moment, but also staying present and making sure that you're ready for what comes next.
Are you enjoying it, or is it kind of focus?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think when you're making history, it's a lot of fun, and I think that's what we're doing here. And we have an incredible group of guys, and it's been a really good time. And I don't think I'd rather do this with anyone else.
Obviously, you came in a little bit later before the first two friendlies. Can you kind of just take us back to that process and maybe when you got the call from Jesse that you were coming in?
Yeah. So he called me. I had a game on the weekend, and he calls me, I think the next day after my game, and told me that they wanted me to come for the Netherlands-France friendlies. So it happened so quickly that like there wasn't really much time to process anything until I was on a plane headed for Europe. So that was actually it was incredible because I'd already gone they talked to me before, and I mean at that point I wasn't really too worried about it, considering with how quick everything was moving. But to get there and still have to prove myself again when I got there and be able to make the Copa squad, I think it's just been incredible so far. There's nothing better than when hard work pays off, and I think that's what I'm seeing now.
And you get that call, you travel over, and you're on the pitch with Griezmann and Mbappe a few days later. What was that like?
I think this is going to be controversial, but the one person I was most excited to be on the field for is Saliba, just because I've been a decently big Arsenal fan for a while, so that was somebody who I was very much looking forward to. But of course, the Mbappes, the Dembélés, Griezmann, some of the most incredible players in the world. I think there were points where I texted some of my best friends just being like, this feels fake, this feels unreal. But I think since then there's been a different, I think I've raised the standards of what I believe I can do. So I think from then it's stopped being more of like a dream, and it's been a reality so far, and hopefully it just continues to be a reality for me.
You mentioned Saliba there. Do you get a sense of kind of the standard of those players and what you have to rise to pretty quickly?
Absolutely. I think I mentioned to Dane St. Clair, we're teammates at Minnesota, I said it's a completely different level. And those are levels that I hope to achieve one day. So seeing it firsthand just kind of told me the work that I still need to do to be able to get to that level. It's to be able to compete at that level.
And when you got the confirmation that you were going to be part of the squad for this tournament, how did that feel? What did that mean to you?
I think the first thing I usually do when I get really good news soccer-wise is call my dad. So I called him, and he kind of does he's the usually more excited out of the both of us. So as soon as I called him, he starts, obviously just being really happy, telling my mom and everything. It's just surreal. And I think the biggest thing is just giving glory to God, because I think the 3 years I've had, as a pro, I've had a lot of lows. And, the one thing I've always said is that I'm just going to continue to trust in His will for my life. And to see it come to fruition in my third year, I thought it was going to happen in my first year, but I've gotten good at trusting His timing. So as the years go by, I just kind of hope that whenever things are meant to happen will happen. And this has just been an incredible period for not only me, but for Canada as a whole, my teammates and everyone. So I'm just really happy to be a part of it.
Well, for people that don't know, and there's a lot of players on this team that maybe don't take the traditional path to get here to this level of soccer, what's kind of your story, and how would you kind of tell what it's been like to get to this moment?
My story, I mean, I guess I think the more soccer expands, the less there's more of a traditional story. I think there's a lot of guys who are playing at different levels, like Tejan plays at Inter, for example. He kind of has a similar story to me as well, but my story kind of starts with, playing soccer in Canada for a slew of different teams. I was at Arab Mills for a while, and then went to Javova under Ron Davidson for a while, and then eventually ended up in college at St. John's in New York with Dr. Dave Mazur, and did my 3.5 years before getting drafted by Minnesota. And then being with Minnesota, that was also, being with their second team, and then being loaned out to San Antonio FC in the USL Championship last year under, Alan Marcina, and then going back to Minnesota again. So I've been all over the place, but I think I wouldn't trade my journey for the world. I think it's what's meant to be will be, and I'm here for a reason. And without my journey, I wouldn't be who I am today.
I was going to say, do you think it gives this team maybe something extra that some of you guys have really had to to give everything and spend a lot of time to reach this level, and it hasn't just always come easy.
Yeah, I think we have a lot of guys who like my story, Alistair, similar story to mine, Tajon, a bunch of guys who have a similar path, and even look at Schaffelberg, for example. He has a similar story. He has a different but similar story of hardship and working through things. So I think that gives us a little bit of a chip on our shoulder and just always keeps us pushing, because we know that there's so much that we want to achieve, and as much as we've done so far, there's always so much more that we think we can achieve. So I think it just keeps us pushing, and every time we overcome one hurdle, it just gives us that much more belief that we can do something else.
I'm not sure how many guys you were familiar with before, obviously Dane from Minnesota, but what was it like kind of acclimatizing to this group and getting to know everyone?
Oh, I think credit to the group. They make it fairly easy to acclimatize. There's some guys who, whether I've played against them before or through Dane or Alistair, for example, he went to St. John's for 2 years, so we've met in the past. Or other than that, like I didn't really know anyone that familiarly. But coming in, everyone's, like I said, they make it very easy to get to know everyone. They're very open. They're very easy to talk to. So it's been incredible fitting into this group, and to be able to fit in while also doing what we're doing has just been quite the combo, yeah.
And in terms of getting onto the pitch, you've been coming off the bench, you've been making a real impact in the past few games. You're starting to feel like you can really affect games at this level? Definitely.
I think going in, I know the skill sets that I have to provide, and they're skill sets that in any game and at any level are effective. So, I've had a couple chances here and there that I think that I should have done better on, but I think at this moment it's just a matter of reflecting on them and hoping that if I get another one, if I'm lucky enough to be on the field against Argentina or whoever else we have in the future, that I'm going to take one of these chances and kind of push the team through.
And literally inches on the offside against Germany as well. So
yeah.
Getting pretty close there.
Yeah.
Just as kind of you've gone through this tournament, and obviously Tuesday is going to be an enormous occasion. Has it kind of sunk in what this team is doing? Are you still trying to process it as it kind of goes on?
I think you have to. There's a lot of that, like being like, oh wow, this is happening. But at the same time, you can't get too caught up in the emotions, because again, we have a game in 2 days. So you, in a sense, have to compartmentalize it for a little bit and just focus on what we have next, which is the world champions. So you can't really sit there and dream for too long. So I think we took a day to do that right after the game, and I think now everyone's just focused on Tuesday.
And just lastly, what's it been like so far to play for Jesse, and how have you kind of been learning from him?
I mean, I think it's only been a month and a half that he's been the head coach of Canada, and being in the Copa America semifinals. I think so much is happening, and he brought in a lot of new things for us, a lot of new ways of playing, and props to him for sticking with us, and props to the guys for taking all the information that we were given and doing a really good job of processing and implementing it on the field. And if you look at the first game when we play Argentina till now that we're playing them, I think we're a completely different team. So, credits to him and his entire staff for the work we've put in, whether it's in video or on the field. And, guys just staying committed and just executing the things that he wants from us. I think every single person who's played a role, we needed everyone to be the team that we are today. And I think the best thing about it is that by the time, 26 rolls around, I think we're going to be so much better than now. So I think it's been an incredible journey, and I'm excited for the future ahead.
What's the belief like going into Tuesday? Obviously, no one expects Canada to win. You're big underdogs, but it doesn't seem to really face this group.
I mean, that's the best part about it. When no one expects anything, it makes it all the much better when you shock people. So I think guys are just going to go out there and give it their all. And if we give it our all and we play to the best of our abilities, I think we can live with whatever results happen. But we go there going for a win. We're not scared of, facing them. I mean, we faced them before, and we think that there are a lot of things we could have done better in that game. So if we can make a few adjustments and do a couple things, I think that we have a really good chance of taking the game.
Thank you, Tani. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.